hospitality hall. And now we want to talk a little bit more about that and how the space is used and how this building is different from a typical classroom. So tell us about what's the size of this building?
So the building's about 94,000 square feet, and it's very different than a traditional academic building. Because if you think about academic buildings, usually classrooms are on the first and second floor, and then on the top floor are all the faculty offices. The typical classroom has stadium seating where the professor is down in the sort of the pit and everybody's looking down at him or her, and they really become lecturers. And this building, we made it very different. So the first thing we did is we have classrooms on all 4 floors. We have faculty and staff offices on all 4 floors so that students are next to faculty and staff, which is very unusual. All our classrooms are totally flat with movable chairs, movable furniture, because the way learning is today, we're not so much lecturers as faculty, but we're much more facilitators. So we've allowed this space that allows for a lot of facilitation as we work with our students. And the other thing we did is outside of throughout the building, we have, as I mentioned earlier, whiteboards. And so you can have a group of faculty offices and staff offices all next to each other, and sort of right next to that is kind of a bullpen for students to work. So if they need help, they can go right to a faculty member right there. So just a lot of interaction between faculty, staff, and students, and that's very unusual.
Yeah, it sounds like a much more seamless educational environment than a typical building would be, so that's great. Tell us a little bit about Hospitality Hall. What is it you're teaching in this building?
So really what we're teaching is the fundamentals of hospitality. And
maybe we should define hospitality, just because.
Yes, no, it's a great question. So the way that I talk about hospitality, it's really the service of others. How do we, if someone wants to buy something from us, how do we provide an environment and a service experience that makes them want to come back and buy from us again? And with hospitality, there's been a lot of shows on TV or movies like The Wedding Planner, right? So kids go, oh wow, I want to be a wedding planner. I want to, it looks so fun. And then they come to, if you went to a traditional school where you never really got any hospitality experience, and then all of a sudden you enter the field and you go, oh my gosh, you have to work 24 hours a day. This is different than what I thought. So this space is designed to, as I mentioned earlier, reflect what hospitality is all about. Lots of points of collision. Students bump into each other. There's all these activities, and we try to create the environment of what it'll be like when they go work in Bellagio or work for Marriott or Hilton. All of that happens within our space.
Well, how many students will the building accommodate each year? So
in our program, we have about 2,300 undergraduates, and we have a master's program and a PhD, and probably about 95% of our courses are taught right in Hospitality Hall.
Wow.
And we certainly can have room to expand and have more students in that space by just increasing the utilization by Friday classes and weekend classes. So, Michael and his team did an amazing job of really taking sort of this vision of what we thought hospitality should be, and really incorporating it. And right before we had the break, you mentioned about what made it green and that we're LEED certified. And it's really important to thank our sponsors, because it would have been very easier to build a cheaper building and not have all the things to make it energy efficient and LEED certified. But our sponsors and our donors, it was very important to them that we achieve silver certification. And so they were willing to put more money down so that Mike and his team could do a great job to make the building really energy efficient. And I just want to acknowledge that.
Well, I've talked with a lot of architects over the years about building buildings, and it's really the lifelong cost of ownership that matters about a building, not its first cost, what it costs to build the first time, but what's it going to cost over a lifetime of that building. So making it green up front and costing less to operate that building is a part of the overall package, and in the long run, a green building is cheaper to build and to operate. So what are some of, since this is an award-winning building and all, what are some of the innovative technologies employed within this building?
The exterior materials were chosen, stuff that doesn't have to be maintained all the time. So the materials are very permanent. concrete, metals, glass. And so this is not a building that they're going to have to repaint all the time and maintain, but also the exterior skin has a rain screen system. This separates what you visually see from the insulating and waterproofing layer of the building, which allows basically to shade the building. So the building doesn't have to do as much work to insulate itself, and it allows some of the heat to dissipate up through vertically through the exterior layer, the airspace. The water use was significantly reduced on the building. Over 41%, I believe, is what we were able to reduce in just the fixture choices. And then on the outside, over 70% reduction in water use. And that will go down over time as those plants get established as well. Lots of recycled materials in the building. And we took the opportunity to highlight those materials. One of the features in the building is the grand stair. Stowe talked about the serendipitous interactions that we wanted to make sure occurred throughout the building. But really for us, it became about that journey. The journey through the building, which starts with that stair as you ascend up into the building. And there's actually a thoughtful path that takes you from the lobby all the way up to the 4th floor with opportunities to rest as you walk across floors. That really encourages people to walk, not use the elevator. And that stair, what's unique about it is made from recycled wood, but that wood is actually from furniture. And it allows the furniture that's been recycled, brings out some amazing color in it. Has deep oranges, reds, some darker veining, and so those sustainable features are highlighted throughout the design. Recycled
materials is a big issue for our world, so I'm glad to hear you're doing that. What other materials have you used that either recycled or maybe new technology materials that are very green?
So the steel obviously has a high recycled content. All of the wood that was used for casework is forestry certified. The ceiling tiles, which are prevalent in buildings, have a high recycled content. Different flooring materials have a high recycled content. Really a big decision on every material we chose in the building had to do with its recycled content, or also how it had to be cleaned to make sure that it wasn't going to create a strain just to maintain it, as you mentioned earlier.
And how about lighting, interior and exterior? How do you approach lighting?
The lighting for the building is almost exclusively LED, and the exterior lighting was thoughtfully placed so we didn't have an overabundance of light, but we utilized the glow from inside the building as well to light the outside, so we and the spaces around it, so we didn't have to waste energy on lighting the exterior.
That's a great topic to expand on when we come back.
Sure.
Shades of Green right after this break. We'll be right back.
Yep.